2 years ago, I released a 2-hour documentary titled How Pixar Lost Its Soul. It was an exhaustive look at the studio's trajectory from its beginning as a 3D animation house under George Lucas to the revolution of Toy Story through the golden era, the controversies, and the eventual downfall. In that video, I included a chapter called Failing Identity, which detailed how Pixar's storytelling DNA began to diminish as they abandoned the first principles that defined their peak. One of the specific sections focused on the decision to retcon the ending of Toy Story 3 just to facilitate another sequel. That documentary was privated a year ago due to audio issues, but I hope to remaster and re-upload it soon. For now, let's summarize the behind-the-scenes reality of Toy Story 3 and 4. First, there is the issue of the perfect ending. Before Toy Story 3 even hit theaters, lead writer Andrew Stanton was already planning for a story beyond it. Right after the third film's release to massive success, he pitched a sequel idea to one of the film's lead people, likely director Lee Unrich, although I can't re-verify that info. The response he received was blunt. "I don't understand. Toy Story 3 was a perfect ending to the franchise," to which Andrew tried to persuade and clarify. Toy Story 3 was a good ending, but it's not the ending. In his view, the third film wasn't the conclusion of Woody's story, but rather the ending of Woody's time with Andy. Andy isn't the main character of the franchise, it's always been Woody according to Stanton. And that left room to explore another story or presumably a definitive ending. Personally, as I argued in that documentary, I was disappointed that Pixar chose to move past the ending of a perfect trilogy. However, Stanton's logic held some weight. Toy Story 4 arrived in 2019, and despite its issues, particularly how the final 20 minutes unraveled in my opinion, I still have a lot of respect for it. And most of the fanbase seems to agree it's a fine film, even if it feels like an unnecessary addition to a masterpiece. And in some sense, by the end of 4, the compromise felt earned. The third film ended Andy's story. The fourth ended Woody's. That was the conclusion. But here is the problem when you introduce a fifth one. All of that structural integrity collapses with the introduction of Toy Story 5. Whatever criticism people had for Toy Story 4, it at least had the courage to be a new chapter. It didn't backtrack, it kept Andy's departure intact and focused on the aftermath of Woody being neglected, eventually leading him to lead a brand new life. Toy Story 5 is different. It undoes the ending of Toy Story 4 by dragging Woody back into the main mix. To be fair, the concept of toys versus tech is a fantastic narrative territory to explore, and the real-life implications for parents and children are genuinely exciting. Pixar has even engineered a clever way to reunite the gang, but by doing so, they've tossed the weight of their previous film into the bin. When you constantly undermine your own endings, the audience stops taking the stakes seriously. If any conclusion can be undone for a sequel, the finality of a story becomes meaningless. And my biggest problem with the Toy Story franchise has been their constant backtracking and undoing past films. It started with Toy Story 4, then it followed with Buzz and Zurg and Lightyear, and now with the new film. This all leads to a narrative dead end. It puts the ending of Toy Story 5 in a corner. I'm not talking about the toys versus tech resolution. We already know how that goes. Come on, it's a Disney production. They'll take the safest route possible. They aren't going to tell parents that tablets are bad when they want those same kids subscribed to Disney Plus and buying tablet covers. It will be a misunderstood technology or finding balanced narrative. And expect Disney to start shipping literally Lily tablets or at least a tab cover soon. I'll bet on that. No, the real question is, what happens to Woody? There are 3 options. Option A, he goes back to being a lost toy which means he ends up exactly where he was at the end of Toy Story 4, making this entire movie a circle to nowhere. Option B. He stays with the gang, which means Pixar has officially erased the significance of the fourth film's sacrifice. There's also a third optional middle ground where part of the gang joins Woody and leaves by the end, while the rest stay with Bonnie. But in every direction you take, Toy Story 4 takes a hit. Logically, if Pixar followed Stanton's claim that this is Woody's franchise, the film should have been a solo adventure in the wild. But that wouldn't be Toy Story now, would it? It would be a spin-off, kinda like Lightyear. To sell tickets and merchandise, you need the whole crew. Buzz, Jessie, and everyone else. So how long can this go on? How many times will an almost perfect franchise be stretched thin to bail out a corporate bottom line of leadership crisis? We all know Toy Story 5 won't be the definitive end. 6, 7, and 8 will inevitably follow whenever the numbers dip. At this point, it isn't about the story anymore. It's just about how much juice can they squeeze from the franchise before it dies. Toy Story 5 was announced in 2022 after the return of Bob Iger as CEO of Disney to bail them out of crisis. But in their efforts to give Disney financial hits, Toy Story's almost perfect narrative just keeps getting desecrated.